Pasquera say Mushe Zimbabwe, welcome to our channel Zim Confessions and Deep Secrets. Kana kari kutanka kukuya the channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Kana kungogaroka subscribe, but don't forget to comment and share this video. Nasbere Zimbabwe tavigira nyeri upisa nyeri kunetsa. Nyaya irikunzi President Atemeswa Mnangagwa who consider to declare a state of emergency and ahead of a planned nationwide protest iyo yakarongwa for 31 March. Irikurongwa by the military-backed war veterans Blessed Geza avo varikuda kuwanikwa vachirimova Mnangagwa from power. Nyaya yabuditswa the news hawks muri Zimbabwe vachitaura pamusoro this issue kuti vaMnangagwa vakuda kuteka madrastic measures yaya hanzi nekuda kwematensions ari kuitika mubato rezanu-PF ari kuita achiwedzera muri Zimbabwe. So kurukunzi vavakutya kuti kunogona kuitika coup muri Zimbabwe. So is considering declaring a state of emergency muri Zimbabwe. Nyaya yabuditswa the news hawks vachitaura ivo vachiti President Atemeswa Mnangagwa is reportedly contemplating declaring a state of emergency ahead of a planned nationwide protest on March 31st, orchestrated by military-backed war veterans led by Blessed Geza, aiming to remove him from power, according to security sources who spoke to the news hawks. This drastic measure is being considered amidst rising tensions within the ruling ZANU-PF party. Growing dissent over Mnangagwa's alleged ambition is to extend his rule beyond the constitutional two-term limit and fears of a potential coup led by his ambitious Vice President Constantino Chiwenga. The contemplation of a state of emergency follows a series of ominous incidents, including the burning of cars in front of Mnangagwa's business allies' premises in Harare and surrounding areas. These acts were widely interpreted as a warning sign of potential unrest and a direct challenge to Mnangagwa's authority. The war veterans who are spearheading the planned protest accused these businessmen of bankrolling Mnangagwa's alleged 2030 campaign, designed to circumvent the constitution and allow him to remain in power beyond his second term. Mnangagwa's grip on power is further complicated by a fierce succession battle with Vice President Constantino Chiwenga, a retired general who led the coup that ousted longtime ruler Robert Mugabe in 2017. Chiwenga, who is believed to have presidential ambitions, is reportedly against Mnangagwa's attempts to extend his rule and is backed by a significant faction within the ZANU-PF party, as well as a powerful contingent of war veterans. The potential declaration of a state of emergency also comes on the heels of Mnangagwa's recent dismissal of Zimbabwe National Army Commander Lieutenant General Anselm Sanyatwe, a move widely seen as a daring coup-proofing strategy. Sanyatwe, who is believed to be a Chiwenga loyalist, has been demoted to a position of sports minister, a move perceived as a significant demotion and clearly signal of Mnangagwa's distrust. A strategic move to consolidate his control over the military, Mnangagwa has appointed Major General Emmanuel Matutu, who hails from Gokwe, Midlands Province, to replace Sanyatwe as the commander of the Zimbabwe National Army. However, at 72 years old and past retirement age, Matutu is not seen as a long-term appointment. Instead, this promotion is viewed as a calculated maneuver by Mnangagwa to ensure loyalty within the military ranks amid growing fears of a potential coup. With the planned protest looming, police have deployed its forces across the country to block or break the demonstrations. However, the army's conspicuous silence, except for a warning to civilians not to wear its regalia, has raised eyebrows. Under such circumstances, the military would usually have made its presence felt, further fueling speculation about its allegiances and potential for a military intervention. A state of emergency and curfew are measures that governments can take to maintain public order and safety in times of crisis. It is a solution in which a government suspends normal constitutional procedures to respond to a perceived crisis, including civil and political unrest. The state of emergency might be accompanied by a curfew, which is a restriction on movement during specific hours of the day or night, implemented to maintain public order, prevent chaos, or respond to a crisis. However, Zimbabwe has a history of serious human rights abuses under the guise of a state of emergency, raising concerns about the potential for further violations if Mnangagwa decides to invoke these measures. Political analysts suggest that Mnangagwa's recent actions are aimed at consolidating his hold on power and protecting himself against a potential coup by former allies. The removal of Sanyatwe, the third such reshuffle by Mnangagwa in recent months, follows the dismissal of the chief of police and the head of Zimbabwe's intelligence service, further indicating Mnangagwa's effort to bolster his position by shaking up the military, police, and intelligence leadership. Political analyst Eldred Masunungure told the privately owned Newsday newspaper that Mnangagwa appeared to be protecting himself against a potential coup. The anti-Mnangagwa war veterans who are planning the March 31st protest want to replace him with Constantino Chiwenga, a retired general who led the coup against Mugabe and is now the country's vice president. Although diminishing in number and advancing in age, the Independence War veteran remain influential in Zimbabwe's politics and retain strong ties with its security chiefs after fighting alongside them during the liberation struggle. In his previous role as head of presidential guard under Mugabe, Sanyatwe played a key role in the 2017 coup. He also oversaw the deployment of soldiers who shot dead 6 people and injured many others during post-elections unrest in August 2018, further tarnishing his reputation and raising concerns about his suitability for leadership position. Mnangagwa's evident intention to remain in power after his second term ends in 2028 has fueled criticism not just from the political opposition and the civil society, but even the ruling Zimbabwe African National Union Patriotic Front, ZANU-PF party. Zimbabwe's constitution explicitly prohibits serving more than 2 terms, but there are suspicions that Mnangagwa intends somehow to circumvent that provision. This has created deep divisions within the party, with Vice President Constantino Chiwenga reportedly against the move. He has been waiting to be passed the baton, which Mnangagwa supposedly promised him when together they ousted former President Robert Mugabe in November 2017 in a military takeover. Among the rising chorus of criticism calling for Mnangagwa to go is a strong faction of 4 veterans, a key constituency in the ZANU-PF establishment, who back Chiwenga, led by Blessed Bombsell NaGeza. The faction plans an uprising against him on 31 March 2025. Geza was a member of parliament and a member of ZANU-PF Central Committee until he was expelled for feigning factionalism, highlighting the extent of the divisions within the ruling party. Geza has gone into hiding, fearing retribution for his vocal opposition to Mnangagwa, and the government is cracking down on anyone transmitting his cause. Alpha Media Holdings journalist Blessed Mnangagwa was arrested after he broadcast Geza's interviews on AMH's Heart and Soul TV. He has been denied bail twice, raising concerns about freedom of the press and the government's intolerance of dissent. Others have gone into hiding, fearing persecution for their association with Geza and planned protest. This clampdown has provoked widespread criticism in and beyond Zimbabwe. Idris Ali Nassar, a senior Human Rights Watch Africa researcher, demanded the immediate release and withdrawal of charges against Mnangagwa, which showed the rights to freedom and freedom of expression in the media are under serious threat in Zimbabwe. The arrest of Mnangagwa and the crackdown on dissent have raised concerns about the erosion of democratic principles and the increasing authoritarianism of the Mnangagwa regime. The agitation against Mnangagwa's rule dates back to August 24, when ZANU-PF's National Congress passed Resolution Number 1, saying Mnangagwa's term as party head and Zimbabwe's president should be extended beyond 2028 and 2030, and that the country's constitution be amended accordingly. This resolution sparked widespread outrage and fueled suspicion that Mnangagwa was determined to cling to power at all costs. While Mnangagwa insists he is a constitutionalist and will step down in 2028, few believe him because he has done nothing to cancel resolution number 1. Stepping down would also mean abandoning the vast wealth he and his ZANU-PF faction have accumulated over the years, largely through graft, further incentivizing him to remain in power. This is perhaps the key grievance of his enemies. In a broadcast from a hidden location on Wednesday, Geza listed alleged Mnangagwa business cronies who he said had grown fat on corrupt government contracts, highlighting the deep-seated resentment over corruption and economic inequality. However, Mnangagwa would remain in office constitutionally. However, how Mnangagwa would remain in office constitutionally is unclear. An anonymous senior opposition leader, also one of the Constitution's architects, told ICC today that 3 safeguards in the Constitution prevent anyone from seeking a third term. These include that no one should serve more than 2 terms, constitutional amendments require approval by a national referendum, and no incumbent can benefit from a constitutional amendment. So the legal obstacles to Mnangagwa seeking a third term were considerable, he said, as are the political obstacles, and especially that the necessary referendum would probably turn into a referendum on Mnangagwa's rule. Considering the broad uneasiness with him, that would be a hard vote to win. Ndomabuditse wakati kwa nyaya ine the New York Express Zimbabwe tingaziye kuti munewana sei nyaya iyi tiudziwa zvamukufunga mu comment section.